Greetings, astronauts, and welcome back to Astrocandy. I'm Raven, your host, and this is the last episode of the sign series, which is all about Pisces. If you don't know, I started the sign series as a limited Astrocandy subseries that would delve into each zodiac sign during its respective season. So I started with Aries in March of 2023 because Aries kicks off the astrological new year. And if you don't know, but you probably do because you listen to Astrocandy, the zodiac is a wheel, and we are at the last spoke in that wheel with Pisces. So crazy. I cannot believe I just can't believe I completed something. As an Aquarius, as an air sign, I'm never great at the completion portion of like an innovative idea. I'm like, oh my God, that would be amazing. And one, it takes me a while to start, but then I get going and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I just like lose steam, which is bringing me back to when I tried to run a fucking 5K when I was in 5th grade. And I started off so strong and I literally could not finish that race. But anyway, that's another episode on childhood trauma. So before we dive deep, pun intended, into Pisces, character traits, their likes and dislikes, their strengths and their weaknesses, let's talk about what you can expect this Pisces season. You have heard me rave about astrologer Alice Bell, and you know what? I fucking won't stop. She's absolutely amazing. I follow her on Instagram. I am like obsessed with her forecasts, and also she just released this new book called Trust Your Timing. Again, I'm trying to manifest that Alice Bell be on the Astrocandy podcast, so here's hoping in 2024. But anyway, I get her monthly astrological forecast, so this is a very brief, and I do mean brief because it's like miles long, interpretation of that forecast. I mean, she goes deep into major transits and aspects, and this is trining that, and that's conjunct this, and like words I don't understand sometimes, but it all makes sense because she makes it make sense anyway. I'm not doing that, but I'm going to touch on some of the main themes and the big moon phases of the month. So the sun moved into Pisces on February 19th, which you would know if you subscribe to the Astrocandy newsletter. I'll put the link in the show notes. But like I said, Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac season. So this season carries with it this feeling of closure, finality. And when things come to an ending, we go within. We also kind of have lower energy. It's like the end of a race, like I was talking about. You're just fucking exhausted. You're depleted. So this is a really good time to sink in, go inward, and be really attuned to your emotions. You might notice that you're extra sensitive as well. And over the coming weeks, you may want to engage in more activities that inspire your creativity and even your spirituality. The day after Pisces season was the day I did my own tarot reading, which I used to do these all the time. Haven't so much lately because I do read tarot, but it's just hard to read your own cards. Anyway, I just thought it was funny that the day after Pisces season, I'm like, oh yeah, let me get out my tarot deck. It's all about depth, spirituality, and going within and really leaning into your intuition. So I say that to say that if you don't really feel motivated right now, especially to initiate projects or work on those big grand ideas you've had, that's okay. Take this time to relax, like really just zen out in Pisces season because that energy is going to come out with a bang when Aries season arrives in just 1 month from now. On February 24th, we have a full moon in Virgo. Full moons are a time to release. And right now, your focus is going to be on your work, your health, your routine, releasing things with work, things with your health, habits, and routines that no longer serve you. You might decide that you want to focus on self-improvement, or maybe you've been reflecting on what work is most meaningful to you and you want to focus more on that. You also might feel motivated to implement healthier everyday habits for yourself, eating clean or getting on a workout regimen. Basically, all of the resolutions we had in January, you might notice that you're kind of picking back up on those, even unintentionally, around this time. Expect to be busy. I mean, this is going to be a really busy full moon. So it is a good time to lean into that as far as work goes. Maybe plan launches around this time or group activities around this time. The one thing I do want to note though, Virgo, we love them. They get shit done. They are task masters, but they're also incredibly self-critical. So avoid criticizing yourself and the people around you, and also avoid being a little bit too much of a perfectionist. What's that saying? It's better done than perfect. On March 10th, we have a new moon in Pisces, which is going to serve as a reset and a fresh start to whatever house in your chart Pisces rules. So look that up. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go to astro-charts.com to get your free birth chart. And then when you're looking at the zodiac wheel, see where Pisces falls and what house that rules. It will say like 1, 2, 3, 4. I can always help you too. You can DM me on Instagram at Astrocandy Podcast if you're like, SOS. Also, I'll link astro-charts.com for your free birth chart in the show notes. On March 11th, Venus, the planet of love and beauty, moves into Pisces for a few weeks. And Venus can really reach its full potential of creativity, appreciation for beauty, compassion for others while it's moving through Pisces. However, Venus in Pisces does have a tendency to idealize romantic interests. So try not to get too carried away in the fantasy world of love. Like if you're finding yourself just being whisked away by this knight in shining armor, just like take a breather, take a step back, okay? Make sure he's not love bombing you or she, and really see them for who they are. Make sure you kind of approach love right now with a grounded and realistic approach, which is going to feel funky because Pisces is all about imagination and fantasy, and you're going to want to be living in La La Land, but just try to stay feet rooted on the ground, especially if it's a new relationship. And then the sun moves into Aries on March 20th. Okay, so now that you know what you can expect this Pisces season, let's learn more about our wonderfully imaginative, intuitive, creative Pisces friends. And who better to learn from than a real-life Piscean and one of my best friends, Tina Range. I love her so much. I love this episode so much, and I know you will too. So please enjoy our conversation. Oh, Tina.
Hello, friend.
I'm so happy that you're finally on the finally.
I know.
Emphasis on finally on the Astrocandy podcast. Let's talk
It's
about everybody
true.
who's been on the podcast before you in our friend group.
I know.
Fallon,
Yep.
Harry,
Yep.
Lauren.
Yep.
Finally, Tina, bringing it home.
Every time I said it, I feel like I get skipped, but it's fine. I'm over it.
Well, we saved the best for last.
Okay, good. I'm glad you feel that way because same.
And that is, I think, the theme in the zodiac, right? Because it starts with Aries. No offense to Fallon, but they're like the little itty bitty baby of the zodiac. And then it rounds out to Pisces, which is like the old soul of the zodiac. They've learned all the lessons. And that's you. You know,
I
you're
agree.
just you're living your best life unbothered because you've been there, done that.
Retweet.
But no, I'm so excited to have you on the Asher Candy podcast. And it's just wild to me that one, you haven't been on before, so this is exciting. But two, how long have we been friends now?
Wow.
It's got to be
That's
coming up on almost 10 or 11 years.
when did you move to Minneapolis?
2015,
Okay. So I guess yeah, close to 10 years.
close to 10. Well, I guess we'll say
Wow.
9 because it is the beginning of 2024.
Yes.
And I will also say when I met you, I wasn't
Yeah.
exactly sold on you.
I was about to be like, are we saying like how long we've known each other or how long we've been friends? Those are two different numbers.
It's so funny because when I think back to the first time I met you, which I'm pretty sure was you coming over to Lauren's apartment. Well, I guess it was mine too.
Yeah.
We just did like a very casual, like wine, some snacks. I think we watched a movie.
That's funny because I don't remember that, which is weird because I feel like I should remember that and I
Well,
don't.
I mean, it's kind of unmemorable if you
But
think
I
about it. Just like a,
remember the first time I saw you when they brought you up in our staff meeting, I was like, I think we're gonna hire this girl. Lauren and I were like so pumped. We're like, oh my God, she seems cool. She's our age. We're so ready to be friends with her. I remember that. Like,
aw,
I remember what your blog looked like. I remember what photos you had on there.
oh
I
my God.
remember all of that, but I don't actually remember the first time meeting you.
I remember.
Okay, I'll
Well,
go
I
off
think
what your
I
story
wasn't
then.
part of those staff meetings, was I? Like, wasn't that
No,
before
no,
I got
no.
there?
Yeah, so but it's weird that I remember that, but I don't
Mm.
actually remember the first time meeting you. So I'm gonna take your word for it if that's what we did, because that sounds like something we would do.
Yeah, that's my word. My word is that it was at our house. I don't know why I keep saying Lawrence. And there was nothing about it that was like, "Oh, I don't like her," but I just was not sold on you yet. I don't know. I just have to warm up to people, I guess. And now I'm
That's
very
fair.
warm to you. So,
Honestly, though, you left Minneapolis in 2018, so you were there for 3 years-ish,
mm,
whatever. But I don't even think we became really good friends until after you moved.
what?
Yeah, I think that we were friends. We definitely got over the awkward phase of the beginning of like, as in your words, like, what's the big deal about this teen arranged girl? But so we became friends, but I think we became like close
Yeah.
once you actually moved to Texas. Like that's when we really started like talking and communicating and getting to know each other because we like had to make that effort. Where
Yeah.
before in Minneapolis, like we hung out, but we were always with other people and I don't
Mm,
feel like we did a lot of one-on-one stuff when you were here.
that's true. But I do remember that when I did leave Minneapolis, you put together this like adorable gift basket, like this farewell gift basket, and you left it on my desk.
I also brought you a McDonald's to your last shift. I came and hang out with you.
Yeah, well, Fallon was there too.
And Harry.
Oh. Why am I like all these
Ugh.
details are invading me? I just remember the gift basket
That's
mostly.
nice.
That was so sweet, so thoughtful, but I do agree. Yeah, we definitely started getting closer even though we were further. You visited
Yeah,
me quite a bit when I was in Texas.
it's true. I did. I was a slut for Texas.
Why?
I don't know. It was fun. I'd never been to Texas before. I haven't obviously gone back, but yeah, it was just like fun. And I feel like we were in that age of like late 20s of we kind of have our shit together, but we're also still like young and fun. And I don't know. Texas felt like an adventure.
Yeah, it really did. It's burned into my brain. I look back and I'm like, I wouldn't go back,
Hmm.
but it was such a pivotal moment in my life. Like everything that
Yeah.
happened, it kind of made me who I am now. But really quick, based on what you were saying about how we got closer as we got farther apart,
Hmm.
I feel like that's all of my friendships. There is a common misconception about like moving around a lot and oh my God, it must be hard to make friends because you're moving around so much. And I'm like, honestly, I just make the effort to maintain the friendships that I made while I was in those places. So I feel like I have great friends everywhere. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think there's like a lot to be said for that. And I don't feel like it's hard to maintain long distance friendships. Do you?
No, and I think maybe this is like a Pisces trait, like we can get into it later, but I actually think I'm better at long distance friendships than I am at like close proximity relationships. I don't know, there's something about like the proximity and the we can physically hang out, and then when you like don't have time or whatever, there's like a disappointment that comes with that kind of friendship. And I mean, yeah, we'll get into like all those like traits, but I just know like I think I'm a better long distance friend to people because there's like an element of you can't rely on me to hang out
Be
with you
there?
all the well, like not that, but like I'm really good at having like good conversations with people over the phone, but if you live 10 minutes away, people would rather have those conversations in person, and sometimes I'm
Mm,
like, I don't know, I'd rather do it from my bed. I don't know.
yeah, that checks out as far as you being
Yeah.
a Pisces, which we
Yeah.
will talk about. So let's start talking about Pisces. We are in Pisces season, so let's learn all about our fishy friends. All right, so Pisces, born between February 19th and March 20th. The symbol is the fish, two fish, actually. The planet it's ruled by, there's two. Neptune, the planet of inspiration, idealism, dreams, fantasy, and also Jupiter, which is the planet of good fortune, prosperity, expansion. It rules the 12th house. The 12th house is all about endings, healing, closure, spirituality, solitude, karma, old age, afterlife, what's hidden, limiting belief, subconscious, really deep shit. So that's just like a preview into how deep. the depths of the emotions
Mhm.
of our Haitian friends. It's a water element and it's a mutable sign. That's the mode, which means it falls at the end of a season. So Pisces falls at the end of winter. Basically, Pisces are dreamers. They're drowning in creativity, emotion, and also a puddle of their own tears. They're highly sensitive, deeply intuitive, and a little bit or a lot of bit psychic. They're
Ooh.
ruled by Neptune, like I said, the esoteric planet of mystery, and Jupiter, the planet of luck and abundance. So, because of this, the duality is that they're secretive and expansive, magical and worldly, soulful and joyful. Haitians are worldly wise, kind of old souls. They have enormous depths of compassion and also empathy for other people. And let's talk about the symbol really quick because I think the symbol is very telling of Pisces. It's two fish facing opposite directions, and it represents the duality of that inner struggle. On the one hand, they want to be driven and successful and busy and active and out there in the world. But on the other hand, you kind of just want to lay in bed and pull the covers up over your head and like sink into your imagination. So that's kind of almost what you expressed about
Yeah.
how when it comes to friendships, like I want to be there, but I don't want to be there. I kind of want to
Yeah.
be in my own space, but be there for you,
Totally.
which checks out. So let's talk about these Pisces personality traits. But before we do, I want to make a note of this. So I was looking at your chart, teens,
Mhm.
and it's so fun to dissect my friends' birth charts because I just inherently learn so much about you. And I'm like, wow, this checks out. But just so you know, your sun is in Pisces. We know this. However, you only have one Pisces placement, and that is your sun placement.
Mm.
And I want to talk about this because there's a lot of people who do not relate to their sun sign. And then I look at their chart and I'm like, well, it's really no wonder you don't because you only have your sun sign in this sign, and that's it. Sun sign is huge. I mean, it's who we are at our core, but because of the other factors, the other placements, like for example, you have 3 Capricorn placements and 3 Aquarius placements, those just add to who you are and you might relate to those a little bit more. Not saying you won't relate to Pisces, I think you will in a lot of this. But also you might kind of be like, "Ah, yeah, that's not really me," and that could speak to some of your other placements, which is also why I tell people to listen to the entire sign series and all the signs if you have those placements. So, starting with the personality traits of a Pisces, y'all are very empathetic.
Mhm.
Everybody loves having a Pisces friend. I love having you as my friend because I know that when I talk to you, it's like talking to a therapist.
Thank you.
I do. Well, it's I should be paying you for your time, honestly, but it's like Pisces just get how you feel and you never judge and you listen.
Mhm.
And you're just on top of that, like a well for receiving and holding space for other people and their emotions. But at the same time, because we talk about the strengths and the weaknesses. So while you are very empathetic, you yourself are also very emotional and you're a crier. Pisces, Pisces are in their feelings, man.
We certainly are.
How many of your friends come to you for like a shoulder to, not a, I guess an ear to listen?
I mean, any of my, like, closest friends, for sure. I've always been the person that people go to, or, like, not even so much just the person people go to, but people just tell me things, and, like,
Mm.
I've always been somebody who people are like, "I don't even know why I'm sharing this with you," and I'm like, "I get that all the time." So,
It
I
must
don't
be like a
know.
sense that
Yeah,
people can
and
sense about you.
I don't even think it's necessarily like a trustworthy thing. Like, I don't think people are coming to me being like, "I'm gonna tell you this and you're gonna keep my secret." I just think people can sense that they can share with me and I will just like listen. I kind of find myself as like a realist and then I just give back to them what they need and then we all move on.
Have you considered being a therapist?
Yeah, I've thought about that would definitely be a career I'd be good at, but
Yeah.
I can't deal with that much stuff, I'm too emotional.
Right. It's like holding space for people, but also holding that space for yourself. You
Mhm.
would literally just be like drowning in your own tears.
Yes.
Oh, really? In your feels. You would never leave your bed, actually, I think, if you were a therapist.
No, I would just have people come to me, and instead of them, like, laying down on the sofa, they
Yeah,
would sit in a chair, and I would
no, you
lay.
would lay down together and be
Yeah.
like they'd tell you all your problems, you're like,
Oh my
"Same."
god. That would be a great way to do therapy, actually, because if you've ever done therapy, like, looking your therapist in the eyes, there's something about it sometimes you're like, "Don't
Oh
look at
my
me."
god.
But, like, if you were laying in a bed and both, like, laying up at the ceiling looking up at the ceiling, I think that would actually be a really nice way to do therapy.
That's an interesting thing you just brought up about, like, making eye contact with people, especially when you're being vulnerable. I
Mhm.
find that when I'm sharing the depths of my soul, which is not often because I'm an Aquarius, but I, like, evade eye contact, not even on purpose, but it's like I'm talking around them and not to them because it's just such a vulnerable thing to also make that eye contact and also bare your soul.
Yes, I hate it. It's like opening Christmas presents in front of people.
I just
Yeah,
got full body chills.
so
Oh, and then,
gross.
like, if you don't like it, you have to be like, "Oh, I love it. It's so amazing."
Right. I feel like when I'm sharing with somebody or they're sharing with me and we're making direct eye contact, I feel like I'm supposed to perform. Like, what am I doing with my
Mm,
face? How do I give this to you right now?
yeah, and that's hard to do when you're, like, all up in your feels and you're overwhelmed by that emotion of, like, whatever it is. It could be, like, love and joy and happiness or, like, disgust and frustration. Like, it kind of just seeps out of you. You can't really help it or hide it.
Mhm.
It's definitely something to be mastered. Another staple Pisces personality trait. They're very mystical people. Pisces tend to have an interest in the spiritual or the mystical, sometimes even the occult. They're ruled by Neptune. We talked about this. And it's almost like every Piscean is born with like a psychic twinkle. And that's kind of where that empathetic nature comes from. It's like this intuitive well, and I think that's why you can, hold space for so many people. That said, to some, with all these like mystical interests, spirituality, the occult, you might come across as like a little bit out there to other people. Like people might be
Mhm.
like, "Huh, I'm not sure about you." Do you have any interest in like spirituality and the occult?
I don't know. I definitely feel we've talked about this before, that we, or at least I, have this sixth sense of, at times, just knowing. Like,
Mm.
I know I last year was going through, like, the job hunt, and I made it to the last round of interviews a couple of times, and by, like, the next day, I was like, I knew if I wasn't getting it or whatever it was,
Even
like,
if you didn't hear from them?
even if it, yeah, and then, like, a week would go by, and I was like, yeah, I knew, like, the day afterwards. Like, I have a sixth sense sometimes for mostly the negative, but I can, like, feel when things
Oh.
are done or off or weird. So I have that. I guess I haven't explored it more than just, like, the innate feelings I get.
I would be so interested for you to start the exploration, even in the smallest sense of like going to a sound bath meditation. Have you been to
Oh,
one?
no, I've never been to one.
I think you would like it. Maybe when you come to LA, we'll do
Yeah,
something just
I
like a
was,
little bit
to
witchy
be
like that.
yeah, like, this is something for us to explore when I come to LA because the sound baths seem plentiful there.
It's widely accepted, and a lot of new age stuff like that is prevalent around here. But what was I going to say? Oh, that feeling of knowing. It's called
Mhm.
claircognizance. When
Mm.
you just like I just know, whatever it is. It's like it's actually a psychic term. Like there's claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, where you just like hear things or see things, clairsentience. So I do think you're a little bit psychic. And with everything I've learned, even in this astrology, like doing this podcast and the people I've talked to, when it comes to your psychicness, it's like a muscle to be strengthened.
Mm,
Like, we
mhm.
all have it and could tap into it, but you have to train it. It's a muscle that has to be worked. Who
That's
knows what
so
happens
interesting.
if
Yeah,
you start working it?
working it.
You could be like a psychic therapist.
I can't be a therapist. Can I just be my own therapist?
Can you be my therapist?
Yeah, I already am,
Thank
so
you. I appreciate you.
I love you.
Pisces. Okay, here's the thing. So when we're talking about astrology, there's some zodiac signs that you like use a different term for. So like Pisces is
Mhm.
one, but Piscean is another way to describe Pisces.
Yeah,
So
I've
I
never
always
heard
get
of
my words.
that.
Yeah, I always get my words mixed up because like you like there's Cancer, but sometimes people say Cancerians.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or like Aquarius, but like Aquarians. There's other
Mm.
ways to say it, so sorry if I Piscean is probably the hardest one to say, which is why I'm stumbling on my words. But anyway, you Pisces people are very romantic. I cannot wait to hear this take from you because you act like you're not into like lovey shit, but let's just tell you a little bit more. Pisceans love love and they love to be in love. That said, you are more traditional lovers. You prefer that tradition of like being courted or wooed and committed to. The whole 21st century, like swiping right, situationships, ghosting, not for you. It's like a huge waste of your time. You want things to be more traditional, more stable, more obvious, I guess. But here's the thing. So you're romantic in that sense, but you're like a little bit gushy, soppy, and in a way that's like a little diluted, meaning you idealize romance and so anything that kind of shatters that like rosy feeling of being in love, especially like the person that you're with, if they do anything that like annoys you, you just are like, ew. You get the ick pretty fast, but like those annoyances are actually just reality, if that makes sense. But
Mhm.
because you like idealize romance, those little things can be like, ugh.
Yeah, everything you just said is true. So,
Would you like to elaborate on that?
yeah, but like that's just you nailed it on the head.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very like traditional, I guess not in thought, but in every like romantic relationship or like attempt at relationship I've ever had, I get really frustrated if it's not those classical elements. Like I
Mm.
was always really bad at dating apps, and when I did try them, if it wasn't there wasn't some sort of buildup. I think we've all been on dating apps where you swipe, you both connect, and then you share like two messages, and then they give you their number, and you're like, "Hey, well, I'd like to just meet up sometime." And you're like, can you please try a little bit to like woo me? Can you give me some messages?"
Oh my
I
gosh.
hated that. I would probably say if that happened where we shared a couple messages and then they just said, "Well, let's grab a drink." I'd be like, "No." Immediate no. I'm not gonna why would
Wow.
I go and meet you? I don't even know if I like you. So I've needed more like build up to want to be in relationships, and I am traditional in that I need to have those like steps of we're starting slow and it's just a drink and then it's dinner and then
Mm.
you do something nice and then we go on a date. And I'm more traditional than I think I maybe let on. And
Slow
I'm
burn.
yeah, for sure. But I don't know. Yeah, everything you just said is so true.
That is so funny and something I just did not clock with you. Like when I was going through this list, I was like, I don't know if this is Tina because, Tina likes to be like, oh, don't hug me. Like, no emotion showing. Like, will not say like, she's not the friend that's like, love ya. You're just not, which is fine. So I was like, I don't know about this one, but that does make sense.
Yeah.
I remember you saying when Trevor, your boyfriend, put together that Easter basket for you
Mm-hmm.
and how much
Yeah.
you love that. And I was like, okay, maybe Tina is like a gesture, a romantic gesture girly, but I wasn't sure.
I am. But I think that's the difference is like I even though they're all types of relationships, like I do view friendships and like romantic relationships completely different because I am
Mm,
not a touchy person. I am not a words of affirmation friend. That's
yeah.
not my friendship style, but it is my relationship style. And I feel like I haven't taken the what is that test? The your relationship style test in
The
a
love
really
languages one, the five
yeah,
love languages.
I don't think I've taken it since I was single, and I would be interested to do it again now that like I am in a relationship, but I didn't think like acts of service would be high,
Ooh.
but it is. And I don't know, the last time I took it, quality time was the highest, and then everything else is pretty much the same after that. So they all matter. And I do find that like I need them. And if I don't, I get the ick or I get annoyed.
I get the ick.
I get
Oh.
frustrated.
By the way, if you're listening, you're like, what is she talking about? Fivelovelanguages.com. You
Mhm.
can go there and take a quiz, and it shows you what your love style is, how you like to give love, how you like to receive love. That makes sense, though, that you would be a slow burn. What's funny is I'm the total opposite. You know how you were like, "Oh, yeah, if we're messaging and there's, like, 2 messages and they don't," or and they, like, they're like, "Hey, let's meet up," and you're like, "No."
Mhm.
I love that shit. Like, I don't want a back and forth. I don't want, because to me, that's a time waster. I'm
Mhm.
like, "Let's just meet up. Let's get a drink. Let me see if I vibe with you, and we'll go from there."
Mhm.
But, like, yeah, I guess that's so interesting.
But I can tell vibes over texting. Like, I can
That
tell
makes
vibes
sense.
if we have, like, a 20-minute back and forth, like, that is all I need to know. Then we can meet up and we can see if there's, like, a physical attraction, stuff like that. But if I don't have that first emotional connection with you, if you can't banter a
Mm.
little bit over texting, it's probably not gonna work out.
Okay, I know you're in a relationship now, but when you were single
Mhm.
and you were having these exchanges, do you think you were good at accurately assessing the vibe? Meaning, like, okay, we banter back and forth. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit it off with this guy when we meet up in person. And it was true. Like, do you feel like your accuracy was a 10 out of 10?
I would say I was correct every time but one.
Really?
And that time, I also feel like he was a very awkward or, like, maybe just shy person in person. So, we had messaged for a couple of days, and he was, like, fun and witty and all of those things, and then we hung out one time, and he was so uncomfortable. And I was like, I think you're just like, the physicalness
Ah,
he kind of stuttered in, but every other time, no, I was right.
wow. See, that's where I go wrong. I'll be vibing on text with someone and then meet them, and I just had this experience. I FaceTimed with a guy because he lived kind of a far distance, but also
Mhm.
it's good to just have, like, an initial phone call or something just to
Yeah.
pre-screen. Anyway, the second I got on this call, I was like, "I've made a dire mistake."
At
The
least with a phone call and not a date.
Right? There were no vibes, though. Like, I was like, "How was I so wrong?" Because we were texting back and forth, and he seemed like a guy I would really
Mm.
get on with.
Mhm.
And then but it was like crickets it was so fucking awkward. It was so awkward. So I can never really tell based on messages because some people are terrible texters, and then you get in front of them and they're like the most conversational,
Mhm.
charming, like whatever type of person.
I'm sure I definitely let a bunch of really great guys out of my grasp because I didn't give them the time of day when they just wanted to hang out with me. But I feel like texting and being able to communicate that way, like, almost is a bit of a love language. And if you can't fulfill that side of it, then we're gonna have a problem at some
Yeah.
point. So it's still important. Does it mean, like, it doesn't 1 plus 1 equal 2? No, if you can't text, you can still be a great person. I just, like, that seemed to be a prerequisite for me, so
Okay, so that leads me to ask though, what are your texts like between Trevor? Like, are you guys still in that like banter back and forth? Or is it
N
more just like, hey, pick this up from the grocery store, see you when you get home?
um, I mean, we text way less because
Yeah, you're
we live
together.
together, so we don't need to. But, yeah, when we text during the day, it can be fun. I guess he hasn't, like, left, like, sometimes he'll go on, like, a work trip or something like that. There's a little bit more of it then, but no, not as much, only because we just don't need to,
Yeah.
but it's still there if it needs to be.
Yeah. Another staple Pisces trait. So imaginative. Pisceans are natural born empathizers. They have an interest in human nature, creativity, they have a big imagination, and they're almost always drawn toward the arts in some type of way. This is true for you.
Mhm,
You have an inclination toward graphic design.
mhm.
That's the arts.
Yeah, of
It's
course
a
it
very
is.
techie art.
It's a creative art still though, like,
Yeah.
I'm using a software, but yeah, I'm still being creative.
The thing about this, though, having just a big brain full of imagination, is that sometimes you prefer to live in that world instead of the real world.
It's a problem.
Problem. How would you say this manifests in other ways, outside of work, but how
Mhm.
would you say you indulge your imagination to the point where you're like, "Okay, I need to come back down to reality."
I mean, definitely when I was single, I spent so much time imagining the perfect partner or like
Mm,
I love TV and movies and those characters are written sometimes by women and you start to develop like traits or characteristics of men of stage and screen and novel and
yeah.
I definitely had a hard time matching a real life boy to those ideas that were in my head of
Yeah.
what I thought I wanted or needed, and it definitely took going through some hard relationships of being around people who I thought met some of those traits, but it doesn't equal real life partnership. So
Mhm.
that was a problem, and then I still find it sometimes in my life now of things that I think that I want or I need or ideas of, like, romanticizing certain things, and like you said, like, it gives me the ick, but those are the real life things, and I have to reground myself and remember that it doesn't make someone bad or doesn't make a
Yeah.
situation bad just because it's real. 'Cause,
Mhm.
I mean, we do live in reality after all, unfortunately sometimes, but
Yeah, I have
yeah.
a bone to pick with reality, but it's so funny. I was doing the research for the Pisces episode,
Mhm.
and I was like, I kind of fuck with Pisces, which is funny because I used to hate on Pisces all the time. And I do think you guys are a little too emotional.
That's fair.
However,
I mean, I
I
agree.
agree.
I wish I wasn't. It's so annoying sometimes.
The escapism, the way I would watch movies, still do, to just be so involved in that world or read a book just to go somewhere else
Mhm.
or lay down at night and dream up like scenarios and like what my life could be like. And just, I have always been a very imaginative person, and some people might say that's dissociation. Not sure which. Should maybe talk to a therapist. But what I'm getting at is, yeah, I have trouble sometimes too coming back down to earth. I say that like Aquarius, it's an air sign. I'm always up in space. I say, I'm up in
Mm,
space. I'm up in space. And so when I do get that gravity pull back down to reality, I'm like, what the fuck? This
yeah.
is not as fun as it was in my brain. And sometimes, if we're talking on like a manifestation level and you are in a roundabout way touching on this, it's like romanticizing an ideal partner, manifesting one into your life, and then being like, so he's not Prince Charming. You know what I mean? Like, he's amazing and great and wonderful, but, like, he's not
Yeah.
this perfect person who never has bad breath or any bodily functions, or, like, he is kind of forgetful sometimes, and, like, he does irritate me in this way, like, that is the problem I also have
Mhm.
too, where
It's a
I'm like,
very real problem.
it's a very real problem. So I have just tried to stay in reality a little bit longer than I'm used to, just to condition myself
Yeah.
to very
My
normal
pro
things.
my problem is, like, we've all started relationships and you're in that, like, really fun honeymoon phase and everyone's, like, trying extra hard and it's not realistic to stay in that
Mhm.
phase forever, but there's a part of me that's also like, "But why can't we?" Why
Yeah.
I feel you try at the start of a relationship, of course, and that level of, like, attention can't last, but I think a lot of times we all give up on that too quickly, and I think we could all live in the honeymoon stage just a little bit longer. You can
100%.
Everyone can try a little bit harder. Everyone can remember that, "Have I been wearing this same sweat outfit that I'm currently wearing for 4 days? Yes, sure have. Don't worry about it." Does my partner find that disgusting? Maybe. Could I try a little bit harder? Sure could. But it's like, if we get comfortable so fast, and there's something really amazing about being comfortable in your relationship, but I think everyone could also remember to try too, and
Yeah.
it would help. And so, yeah, I'm always in that scenario of people saying, "Well, life's not fair," and I'm like, "But it could be.
Right.
We could all just
Yeah.
try a little bit more."
I think that's a really good point you make. I remember in one of my previous relationships, I was sort of stuck in like the no, why don't we keep this honeymoon phase thing going? And he was very much like, I'm ready to be myself now. And I was like, I don't know if I want you to be yourself.
Right. And that's, like, so fucked up if you start a relationship trying and acting a certain way to get your partner to fall in love with you or to like
Hmm.
you, and then you turn a
Yeah.
switch and you're like, "Well, now I'm myself." That's messed up because now your partner just spent all this time getting to know a person who
Who's
apparently
not
isn't
real.
you. So,
Yeah.
let's not do that.
So true. So
Yeah.
true. I've learned that myself in dating. I can't say I haven't put on airs before, but as I've gotten older,
Mhm.
there is a level of owning who I am and also being very upfront about that so people know what they're getting into. Do I ask men their day, time, and place of birth on the first date? Absolutely not. Okay. I'm not showing all my cards.
Yeah.
However, I am
That's
going to
what
be
cyber stalking
honest.
is for.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is who I am. Yeah, I'm into astrology. If that scares you, bye. Like,
Bye. I mean, I was going to be like, we're too far into life to worry about those things. But honestly, I think that that's the same way that people in their teens, their 20s, their what, like, you should always lead with yourself. Like,
yeah.
yes, we are in our early 30s, but and we're all like, I don't have time to do any of that fake stuff. But everyone should just do that. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to lead with
Yeah.
it. You're good.
If only you told me that 10 years ago.
I mean, same. So,
But, lessons had to be learned. Last staple Pisces character trait kind of goes back to like the escapism, pleasure seeking. Okay. Because there's really no such thing as like a small indulgence for Pisces. They can turn to escapism and can overindulge, whether that's in food or in alcohol or in whatever it is, because there's a reason they just need to relax and quiet down their psyche and the emotions and the imagination and just numb it a little bit. Like, let's dull the trip that's happening in my brain.
Do you know what I told Lauren I wanted to do for my birthday?
What?
I said I wanted to have a wine and caviar night.
Okay.
I
Why?
wanted because I wanted to indulge. I've been seeing so many TikToks of girls, and by girls, I mean like women in their 40s, their 50s, these like established women who are having these nights of either a great dirty martini or like a
Mm.
fantastic glass of white wine, and then they break out their caviar and they eat it with their potato chips or their little, I forget, those little pancakes, and you put your creme fraiche on and you sit around and you talk with your friends or you whatever. But I literally wanted a rich, indulgent birthday experience.
I love it.
Yeah.
I aspire to that as well. But my biggest question is where the fuck do you get caviar? Like, does that come
Oh, you can buy it
at
a
a
lot of
grocery
places.
store?
You can get it at Whole Foods.
Whole Foods is out here selling fish eggs?
Yeah, they have caviar, and then you there's a lot of like specialty grocery stores. I feel like every city has their version of either like a fish market or like a really bougie specialty store, whatever it might be. So, yeah, there's a lot of different places. I don't think you're getting the finest caviar in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but there I'm not trying to spend that much anyway, so there's definitely places to get it.
Okay, well, good to know.
Yeah.
When is that, by the way? Am I invited?
Well, yeah, actually, I will be alone the entire week of my birthday, so if you wanna come and hang out with me, you
Why are
could
you going to
definitely
be alone?
because Trevor has to go to work stuff, so you can come hang out with me. I'm planning stuff almost every day for
Hmm.
friendship.
The first week in March?
Yeah, the first full week.
Let me check my calendar. I'll get back to you.
Okay, great.
It
That'd be
really
so
is going to
fun.
depend on what flights are like, though.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come, like,
Oh, I'm
during
a
the
fucking
week.
idiot. I have a bachelorette party.
It's nice of you to choose other people over me. Sounds cool.
Well, excuse me. This has been on the books for months. I did not know you were planning an extravagant wine and caviar night.
I actually need to, like, make actual plans for my actual birthday. I have not figured that out yet, but that could be that day. I don't know.
Maybe I'll zoom in.
You could. We would love to have you.
We love that. Thank you. That's so sweet. Okay, let's talk about the things that Pisces are into. Anything water related, being in or near water really makes you happy, whether that's swimming, sailing, fishing, surfing, even just walking by the beach or a
Mhm,
lake, which I know you're fond of. You often go by lakes for walks.
mhm. My big pond. It's
Your
my
big pond.
therapy.
It's a pond.
It's a
That's a big
pond.
ass pond.
That's what I'm saying, though. I call the lake ones is definitely not a lake. It's just a really big pond. It's a large girl pond, and we go for our mental health walks around her. So, yes, I agree.
And that is
10 out.
actually usually where we have our heart to hearts. That's where I
Mhm,
talk to her and complain about my life,
mhm,
and she receives it all
mhm.
as she's walking
And
her
you've
dog.
gone on those walks with me,
I have.
physically and in another space. So, yes, it's a great place to be.
Dancing.
Mhm.
Neptune rules dance. So apparently Pisceans love to dance and express themselves through that. Are you a you were in dance, were you a dance team coach or were you also in dance team at one point?
Yeah, so I grew up dancing. I grew up playing a few other sports, but by high school, I had dropped all of those. So I'd been dancing since 4. I did my 4 years of high school dance team, and then I basically started coaching right away, and I coached until I was 28. So 24 years of my life were spent in the dance community, and I'm still kind of part of it. We have like state dance team here in Minnesota next weekend. I'm going to that. So dance has always been a huge part of my life.
I didn't realize we had that similarity. Maybe we had to have discussed it at some point in our friendship, but I grew up dancing
I know that.
and we're both only children.
Yes, we sure we certainly are.
So many commonalities.
We're both mentally unstable at times.
That too. Writing. Pisceans always have a lot of observations and insights to share. So they typically self express in writing, whether that's like poetry or a journal or writing lyrics. You know, some of the greatest artists are Pisces, whatever you want to say. And I was going to name drop some great artists. And not that these artists aren't great, but they're
Mhm,
not like the greats. However, like Rihanna is a Pisces, Justin
mhm,
Bieber is a
mhm.
Pisces. Like
Well,
they're just, what do you mean? Ugh, no.
I don't care for him, so
That is my baby daddy. He doesn't
okay.
know it yet, and we don't have a baby yet. But I have been trying to manifest him in Los Angeles since I've moved here. It's not worked.
I have a feeling he's probably in Vegas right now.
Right, but I'm saying when I got to LA, I was like,
Yeah.
Bieber, Justin Bieber, Justin Bieber, sending out the frequencies of the Biebs,
Yeah.
trying to
I have
attract him to me.
I have a feeling 2024 is your year of Bieber sightings.
That's all I want. If
Okay.
I see, mark my words, if I see Justin Bieber in the fucking flesh and we have any type of interaction, actually, I don't even need to have an interaction with him. I just need to see him
Mhm.
in his day to day. I will pack up and go home.
Oh,
Because
wow.
there's no other reason for me to be in Los Angeles. That's actually the whole reason I'm here. I don't know
Oh
if
my God.
why I moved here. I'm actually
Wow.
Justin Bieber's biggest stalker.
Have you never met the Biebs?
Have you?
Well, yeah, but not in the radio capacity. It was an accidental meeting of the Biebs at the very beginning of his career. Have we
When
never
did you
talked about this?
accidentally meet Justin Bieber?
In New York.
How though? Like, well, you have to tell the story. You can't just say that.
When I was 18 years old, I went to New York for spring break, and as one does, we went to David Letterman. We like marched on up and we're like, "Hello, we'd like to see the show." They put our names down. And they're like, "You could get called for one of two shows. This show has Michael Bublé. I loved Michael Bublé. And the next day show, Justin Bieber." And I was like, "That kid who sings Baby? Like, oof, don't know about that." Or maybe just one time and Baby had recently come out. And I was like, "Ugh, I want to see Michael Bublé." We didn't get the call for Michael Bublé. We did get the call for Justin Bieber, and I was like, whatever, I guess it's
Shut
fine.
up.
So we went, and if anyone's ever done like, I don't know if it's still the same, but back in 2010 at David Letterman, it was like a whole day process. You had to go, you had to get in line, you had to wait. They give you like a ticket, and then they give you a return time, and it was like a 3 hour thing. So we were just killing time waiting for the second time to line up. And they still do this. Like the celebrities arrive to what's now it's like Stephen Colbert in the back alleyway. And so they have barricades set up and people hang out. So we were like, well, I guess we'll just hang out in the alley and wait. And so the celebrities started showing up. It was Ben Stiller, Jamie Oliver, the chef, and then Justin Bieber. And he got out of the car. They like do a little photo shoot. And then he started walking around signing things for people. And I was like, I was on the barricade. I was like, I don't have anything. And my mom just gave me a piece of paper and took a photo over my shoulder as he was like his like mop-headed Justin
Shut
Bieber
up.
signing my thing. And then I sat second row, third row at David Letterman center as he performed Baby on the David Letterman show.
Tina,
Justin Bieber. He
only
was
that
so
would
small.
fucking happen to you. Like
Yeah, I
someone
didn't.
who doesn't give two fucking shits,
Nope.
happens to be at the right place at the exact right time, but to you it's the wrong time. You're
I
like,
didn't
fuck,
wanna. I
where's
wanted
Michael
Mike.
Bublé?
I wanted Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé or Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was a bubbler, not a believer. You know what I mean?
That is a crazy story.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to send me that picture, by the way.
I will also send you the performance. He just kept doing this dance move where he like kept slapping his chest and swaying side to side. It was just classic early J Biebs. And yeah, so that was my Bieber experience.
That was, I mean, I can make a whole entire podcast on Justin Bieber and his career, but that was really kind of the pinnacle when Baby took off
Hmm.
and he had the signature swoopy haircut. That
Yep.
was
He
like that's
wore
the
the
Bieber
shoes.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then, he just became a freaking dweeb peeing in fucking mop buckets and then a big asshole. And then he broke Selena's heart. And like, I mean,
And you're wondering why I don't like him?
well, to be
And you're,
fair, you've
but
claimed dislike of him before he ever did any of those things.
true. It never happened for me.
But
I
maybe
did
you
go see,
psychically knew
I saw
that
Never Say
he
Never
was
in
a twat.
theaters. So yeah, I mean, you can tell. You can tell.
Was it the hair?
It was the slapping his chest and swaying side to side. Not for me.
Oh my God.
Anyways,
Okay, let's
Justin
talk
Bieber.
about some of Pisces turn ons. Clearly, it's not Justin Bieber.
Can't relate.
However, Pisces do love creative and artistic people, writers, painters, musicians like Michael Bublé, architects, carpenters, sculptors, actors, designers, poets. Because Pisces are so imaginative, they are also so appreciative of the arts, probably more than any other sign.
Very true. I relate most to, I am friends most to those types of people.
Do you think I'm a creative, artistic person?
No, I think you just have a podcast for funsies.
That was the cold hard truth if I've ever heard it. I also don't think I'm very artistic or artsy, but I am pretty witchy.
You're very witchy, and I think that you are, I don't, what's the right word? You're very like outwardly you love to like decorate. You love like a full
Mm.
experience. You love to have things like look themed in like a certain way. I don't know if that's like the
Maybe
right
that's like
word
a
is
creativity. I think it's a creative
yeah. It's like an
spark.
expressive, like you're a very like expressive
Mm.
person. I don't know if the
Yeah.
right word is like creative, but you're not like a dull person.
Thank you. That's
I don't.
so kind.
You're so welcome.
Pisces, they have a way with words. No.
We do. So
um,
kind.
we kind of touched on this. Pisces also into romantic gestures, even if they act like they aren't. They secretly love that shit. They are very mushy and they are the ultimate like melt in love. They adore being adored, treated like royalty. Oh my god, you're the best girlfriend ever. Like they
Yes.
love that shit.
Hmm.
They love affection. Do you like PDA?
Um, I'm not like weird about it. I'm fine with it. I'm not like grossed out if people do it. I think I'm maybe more just like if I were to do it, I don't think I would care, but I would maybe just be like empathetic to the people around me that they probably don't want to see it. That would stop
Aw.
me, but I don't care. I'm fine with it. I'm like comfortable in who I am and who I love, so I'm fine.
I think that speaks to you as a Pisces, though, just being aware of like other people and their feelings and emotions to the point where
Mhm.
you're like, well, maybe other people don't want to see me like full on making out
Yeah,
right now with this
that is
person.
true because nobody wants to see that.
Turn offs. Callousness or casual cruelty. Pisces, they're empaths and they find others' cavalier attitudes to anything painful or sensitive just unfathomable. Like if you lack sensitivity, Pisces, not about it.
Mhm. Yep.
Also, non commitment will give you the ick because Pisces are all in kind of people. If they like somebody, then they want to be with them. And that's that. Like there's
Mhm.
really no games that we need to play. Casual dating, what's that? Seeing multiple people at the same time, no thanks. Friends with benefits, unheard of. It just feels at odds with the preciousness and exclusivity of like a true love experience.
Mhm.
So if you're non-committal, GTFO. Before we talk about best careers for Pisces, I want to get into your birth chart a little bit because I think it's very telling of career because there's something called a midheaven, which is your ideal optimal career. So these Pisces careers will probably like tickle your fancy, but also since your midheaven is in Gemini, things in communication are also going to be great outlets for you because Geminis are just very chatty, communicative. They're information type of people. So, working in environments like that, maybe one where you can marry that with a Pisces kind of creative, artsy outlet's going to be great for you. So, I'll talk about the Pisces careers in a second, but I do want to touch on your moon sign is in Aries. This surprised the fuck out of me. I don't know why. I think it's because you don't outwardly express your emotions, what I would consider to be erratically, passionately. Aries, first sign in the zodiac, they're very knee jerk reactions, very passionate, known for having sort of like anger issues or whatever, but deeply passionate people. That's why I'm like surprised by your moon sign being in Aries because I just feel like yours is very subdued. Or do you feel like you are a very passionately expressed person when it comes to
I
your emotions?
In my relationship, I am, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then that
I
checks out.
I was like, I feel like if Trevor were to listen to all the things you just said, he'd be like, "Mhm, yeah. Yeah."
Hey, good to know. All right. Okay, I know nothing apparently. Well, astrology knows everything. I know nothing. Your rising sign is a Virgo. Virgo, earth energy. It's very a little bit self-critical, hardworking, very meticulous, very like to get things done, can follow a to-do to a T, very methodical in your approach to how you do life.
That's
And then
fair.
your north node is actually also in Capricorn. I talk about north nodes as being your destiny, meaning like what you need to lean into in this lifetime. North node opposite of our south node. Our south node represents our previous life. And I say this because we tend to, having come from that previous life, lean into our south node. Your Capricorn North Node is all about hard work, determination, building, ambition. And that might feel a little bit foreign to you, but what the key here is if you lean into it, it could really sweeten the deal on your life. It can make things like a little bit almost it'll be hard to lean into, but once you grasp it, it's kind of like magic. Whereas your South Node, what you're used to is in Cancer. It's very like maternal, very in your feelings, very like moody a little bit, intuitive. It speaks a lot to your Cancer sun or your Pisces sun, even. Right. So those are kind of like working in tandem a little bit. So leaning into the Capricorn, embracing your Virgo rising is going to be good for you.
That
Just
sounds right.
does it?
Yeah, because I definitely lean into those like South Node
Mhm.
characteristics for sure. So maybe I do. I need to try and lean the other way.
A lot of us do. When I talk to people, they're like, wait, so I'm supposed to do the opposite of what I've been doing? And I'm like, yeah. The
Yeah.
reason you've been doing what you've been doing is because it's familiar to you and like that's what you have down. But like if you go the other way, it's gonna change things for you. Okay,
Mm,
so let's hit on last thing here, best careers for Pisces. So we've talked about Pisces. They're imaginative, creative, kind, supportive, people smart, they're emotionally intelligent, intuitive, psychic, okay? So they're all in all great to work with, and can really transform team dynamics with subtle influences and nudges. They're not going to be like the personality hire by any means, but they are a very necessary, what do they call that? Like a spoke and a peg or a wheel and a spoke, or you know what I'm saying?
A spoke in the wheel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
necessary.
Mhm.
Need them. So, careers in the arts, music, drama, medicine, counseling, therapy, teaching, childcare, social care, spirituality, all great careers. Teaching, poetry, becoming a biologist, an artist, a musician, kind of touch on that. A philosopher, a fashion designer, a writer, a director, an interior designer, a journalist, an astrologer, a doctor. Patients also will do really well in medical, legal, or doing something charitable, working for a philanthropic organization. They also do great in advertising, publishing, consultancy, like a consultancy business or any kind of freelancing. I think the key for Pisces is to really feel like they fit in where they're working. They want to feel like they can respect the work culture and also feel like they're making a difference in the workplace and also overall in life in general. Like they want to like essentially make a big difference in life. So I think the key is to spark sort of that like humanitarianism trait like an Aquarius, like helping others around you with your inherent creativity and wisdom and marrying those two. What do you think, teens?
I think you've summed up almost every job I've ever had. So,
That's good. That means you're doing it right.
yeah, and as a kid, I mean, like, when you were, like, a little kid, like, I wanted to be, like, an actor until middle school, and then I was like, that's not for me," and then I wanted to be a marine biologist, and then I wanted to my college degree like, by high school, I wanted to work in film, and then I found myself in radio, and then that fell into digital, and now I'm in marketing and graphic design. So, yeah, I think I hit a bunch of them.
Wow. So, what do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think this was an accurate assessment of who you are as a Pisces sun?
Yes, I feel like you have nailed it.
Love to hear it. No, I really do love to hear it because it is kind of a mixed bag, right? When
Mhm.
I pull up people's birth charts or just get into the sun sign, and some people don't relate. But again, that's why I say listen to all of the sign series episodes with all your placements. Tina, I'm so happy you were able to sit down and chat. It is the big game day. Can't say the name because I don't want to get sued
That's
by
true.
the
The, three-letter organization really likes to
Yeah,
come for people.
they really do for no reason. It's just
Yeah.
like it reminds me of if like someone with all the money in the world and all the
Mhm.
power in the world just like to like ruin people's lives for fun.
Yeah. It's like a monarchy. They just
100%.
they have to have all the control at all times.
They have to have all the control and all the dollars, and they will, like, fuck up the little people in the
Oh,
process.
they don't give a shit.
They don't care.
Nope.
They're like, "You don't have any money? Well, I'm gonna take all the money you don't have,
Mhm.
and any money you make in the future, I'm gonna have it." Anyway.
Correct. We could say that could be a whole podcast too.
Okay, Tina, thank you so much for joining the Astrocandy podcast. I love you so much, even though you're not gonna say it back.
I love you too.
Oh my god, and it's on the record. I'm just gonna play that over and over and over again because 'cause I'll never hear that again.
That's not true,
I
but
know.
whatever.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I am still bewildered that I managed to finish the Sign series. I don't know if you know this. If you've been a long time listener, then you definitely do. But the Sign series actually started like in 2021 when I originally had a co host on season one. It was this big thing we wanted to do. And well, long story short, is all that fell apart when our co hostship fell apart. But I digress. I decided to bring it back last year. I'm so happy I did, and I'm so happy that I finished the Sign series. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're like, wait, there's more? Yeah, there's more where that came from. More on Aries, Taurus, Gemini, all 12 zodiac signs you can go back and listen to all about their strengths, weaknesses, character traits, personality flaws, likes, dislikes, what turns them on, what turns them off, best careers. So if you have major placements or honestly any placements in any of the signs, go back, listen to those episodes. But I just want to say thank you so much for sticking with it if you did. And if you did and you enjoyed what you heard, I would absolutely love it. And I know that I say this every episode, but I want you to know I mean it. I would love it if you would rate this podcast 5 stars. Whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts, which I know is where most of you do, or Spotify, which I finally just got Spotify, by the way. Like, I know, late to the party much? So, that reminds me. We have launched an Astrocandy Spotify where we curate playlists according to moods, vibes. We've got a love manifestation playlist and now a Pisces season playlist. So if you want to listen to that, please do. I think you can just search Astrocandy on Spotify. I don't know. I'm new to Spotify, but I have to shout out my dear, dear friend, Alex Gervaisi, who was on the Aquarius episode, for curating these amazing playlists. I mean, she literally does this for work, so that's how you know that they're good. I'm so happy she's on my payroll. Just kidding. I can't afford to pay her, but pay her with my friendship. And also, I want to say thank you so much to my bestie, another Aquarian, Alyssa, who is helping me with all of the copy that you see in the Astrocandy newsletter, which is so fun. That goes out every Monday. It's free. Everything I mentioned is free, by the way. So if you want to check all of that out, I've linked it in the show notes. I love you so much. I cannot wait to see you next week for part 2 of Emily Sklar's interview, where we talk about the hidden costs of chasing your dreams. We're in the dream state because it's Pisces season. All right, see you next week. Bye.